Hello friends, and welcome to Top of the Stack MTG. Tonight we have another great deck tech for you. This is Dana's M. Night Shyamalan ramp deck. It's very fun, very silly. Of course it's a ramp deck, so we're going to do a lot of creature ramping. And then we're going to bust out into something that other players do not expect, which is why it's the M. Night Shyamalan ramp deck. So, first off, let's start with the actual ramp. We've got Blisterpod, which is an excellent little creature, and if it dies, then you get to put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token onto the battlefield, which you can discard for a mana. So that's great. Also, of course, Elvish Mystic, one of the best ramp creatures in Frontier. I mean, straight up. It's a 1-drop for a 1/1, and you can tap it to add a forest to your mana pool. Excellent. We then go into Rattleclaw Mystic. Rattleclaw Mystic is really nice for this deck because we're running both mountains and forests. It's red and green. So you can tap Rattleclaw for red, blue, or green, and of course we just use it for red or green. So that's really nice. Also, Whisperer of the Wilds. This is another 2-drop, which gives you 1 mana. But if you have a creature with a power of 4 or greater, it will actually tap for 2 mana. That doesn't happen very often with this deck, but it can. So it's just more creature ramp. We also happen to use Call of the Scions sometimes. This will get you 2 Scions. It's a 3-drop. And of course, they can be discarded for more mana. So lots of mana ramping here, but they're all creatures. And the reason that they're all creatures is because the sort of twist to this deck, the thing that we're looking for, is Descent of the Dragons. Excellent card, very fun. It's a 6-drop. Destroy any number of target creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller puts a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So if you knock off, say, 15 of your guys, you get 15 dragons. Now that's really extreme. You're not going to have 15 guys, but you could have like 7. You're going to get a lot of dragons. Another neat thing that this does is if they have a creature that is really bothering you, when you convert all of your guys, you can knock it down to a 4/4 flying dragon. If they bust out an Ulamog or something, you can make it into a 4/4 flying dragon. It's a really great card. It didn't see a lot of play in Standard, I believe, because the dragons don't have haste. That's one interesting problem with the card. You don't get to use them instantly. It doesn't finish off the game. But it is an excellent card. Very fun to play and quite a surprise. Because most people are going to assume you're moving up towards Emrakul or Ulamog, of course. And when you play this, and because it's only a 6-drop as opposed to those other cards, you're going to do it a lot earlier than they expect it to happen as well, which is really nice. So in order to take maximum advantage of this, there are 3 other cards that we've put in the deck to give us more creatures. The first is Ornithopter. Ornithopter is great because it's free. You just put it down. So that's really nice. No mana cost. We do have Dragon Fodder, a 2-drop, which gives you 2 1/1 goblins, and of course Hordeling Outburst, a 3-drop, which gives you 3 1/1 goblins. So that will maximize the creatures that you can get in order to play your Descent of the Dragons. For the mana base for this thing, we have 4 Spawning Bed, which can get you more creatures. Get you 3 more creatures. It's kind of expensive, but in a ramp deck like this, it doesn't matter that much. So that's great. Also, you get 4 Game Trails. We're not going to use fetch lands in this deck because they're expensive. And it's only a 2-color deck. There's no need to put all of that money into mana fixing when you've got all this mana ramp and you've got Game Trail and you've got, the Rattleclaw Mystic Your mana fixing is fine. You don't need the fetch lands, but you can grab them if you want. And then, of course, we run 8 mountains and 8 forests. So, after we played this deck for a while, 2 things happened. Number 1, we realized that getting Descent of the Dragons is pretty hard. It would be a better, more competitive deck if we had 2 win conditions instead of 1. And the second problem we ran into with the deck was, once you've seen it once, there's no more fun M. Night Shyamalan twist. Everybody knows exactly what the twist is. So we realized we kind of need to switch it up a little bit. So we went looking for other win conditions. The first one that we found is Decimator of the Provinces, which is excellent. All of your creatures get +2/+2 and gain trample. And of course you get this 7/7, which becomes a 9/9 with trample. It's a win condition, straight up. When you get this and you swing in with everybody, you win. Oh, it also has haste. So, yeah, it's excellent. An excellent creature. So we pulled out Call of the Scions, and we put in Decimator Provinces and left in Descent of the Dragons. So that gives the 2 win conditions, which makes the deck a lot more effective. Because anytime you're playing a ramp deck, you're going to have those games where you only get ramp and you can't win because all you've got is a ton of mana and nothing to spend it on. Or the opposite could happen. Now that we have 2 win conditions in there, you could get stuck with just a bunch of huge guys in your hand and no ramp. You can't afford them. So that's one of the negatives of playing ramp, but it's super fun. It's totally worth it. For Two-Headed Giant especially, if you've got a lot of time, it's a blast. A great, great deck. Other win conditions that we looked at, which you can sub in for Descent of the Dragons or Decimator of the Provinces, just to keep the M. Night Shyamalan effect alive, are Ulamog, of course. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Very scary. When you ramp into that, it's crazy. Emrakul, the Promised End, is a great choice. I know that Emrakul gets cheaper the more different types of cards you have in your discard pile, but this is not a deck that puts a lot of different cards in your discard pile. So you'll probably only get like a -1 or a -2 off the cost, but it's okay because you're ramping. You're going to have the mana for it eventually. Another win con that Dana really liked was Might of the Masses and Temur Battle Rage. Those 2 cards together create a very effective win condition. If you can swing in with a bunch of guys and they can't block them all, then one of them can get a Might of the Masses and a Temur Battle Rage put on it, and it'll just win because it'll do like 18 or 22 or some crazy amount of damage, depending upon how many guys you have out in play. So that's a neat win condition. The only negative to that one is it's a 2-card win condition. So it makes it a little tough because then all of a sudden you might have to take out a little more ramp, or you might have to only have 1 win condition because it's 2 cards. But it's fun. It's super fun. It's worth it. Another card that we really need to work into the deck is Chord of Calling. Chord of Calling, if you're doing a creature as your win condition, this will go find it. It's very expensive, but once again, you got a lot of ramp in this deck, so I think you'll be able to afford it. You can go find the creature, pull it right out of your draw pile, and throw it onto the battlefield, which is excellent. So Chord of Calling needs to be put in. Probably taking out maybe some ramp, I would say. Maybe the Ornithopter could be a good choice. I know that it's free, and that's not ramp, but maybe that's better than taking out some ramp because you'll want to keep the ramp to pay for Chord of Calling. Maybe Ornithopter goes. Maybe Ornithopter is also a good thing to go if you're thinking about doing the Temur Battle Rage Might of the Masses combo. Yes, this is an excellent fun deck. It's not the most competitive deck in the world because it's just straight ramp, but super fun and definitely worth giving a try. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button. Or also subscribe. Make sure to leave a comment. Thank you so much. Have a great night.